We all know Stefanski is fighting for his job life by trying to cling to Dillon Gabriel, who was his choice to go forward with, because he took him 50 slots higher than Shedeur went in the 5th round. So Stefanski knows if he gives in to Shedeur, I think he's a goner. Like that's going to be the end of him, because he's dug in internally with the owner and the GM that he just wants no part of Shedeur. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like the way he handles himself. He doesn't like the way he carries himself in the locker room and the social media and all those things that nobody liked about him, or a lot of NFL people didn't like before the draft. So it's going to take the owner stepping in and saying, it's time. We're going to do this whether you like it or not.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Start the chance for Shedeur Sanders to play. At least that's what the Shedeur Sanders fanboys are doing. Remember, Shedeur Sanders is currently the QB2 of the Browns right now. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Skip Bayless begging the Browns to start Shedeur Sanders ASAP. With Dillon Gabriel going 0-2 in his first 2 starts, fans are chanting for change at the quarterback position. However, the Browns are sticking with Dillon Gabriel as their starting quarterback for the current moment. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. When should the Browns start Shedeur Sanders? Based on the schedule I'm looking at right now, I believe Shedeur Sanders' first start should come in Week 10 against the New York Jets at New York. I believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the better quarterback when you compare him between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders himself. I don't know how Dillon Gabriel was drafted in the 3rd round to begin with. That dude is an absolute midget at the quarterback position. You also think about how Dillon Gabriel has a noodle for an arm, and when you're playing for a cold weather team like Cleveland, you need a quarterback that can air the football downfield. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders has the greatest arm strength in the world, but he definitely has a better arm than Dillon Gabriel. I also believe Shedeur Sanders is more equipped to handle a bad franchise in comparison to Dillon Gabriel. Although Dillon Gabriel had a pretty decorated collegiate career, he often played on good teams. He got to play for Oklahoma and he got to play for Oregon. Not exactly horrible conditions. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, was playing at Jackson State in Colorado. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be a superstar in the making, but what I am saying about Shedeur Sanders is he has the capability to be a floor raiser at the quarterback position. He can make a bad team look competitive. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm seriously thinking about starting Shedeur Sanders sooner rather than later. I understand Shedeur Sanders has some sack issues, but there is untapped talent in Shedeur Sanders' game. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is going to be an elite athlete like Lamar Jackson, but could I see him escaping pressure like how Baker Mayfield escapes pressure in the pocket? Absolutely. And I believe the Cleveland Browns need to start Shedeur Sanders sooner rather than later. I understand they got the Miami Dolphins coming up next, and although Miami is a bad team this year, that doesn't mean Miami can't be a competitive football team, and that game is going to be at Cleveland, so the fans are definitely going to boo Dillon Gabriel if Dillon Gabriel does not get things going. I expect the Browns and Dolphins game to be rather competitive, but if the Dolphins somehow come out of that game victorious, the benchings of Dillon Gabriel is probably going to come sooner rather than later. That is definitely going to be one of Dillon Gabriel's easier games in the National Football League. Dillon Gabriel in his 2 starts has not really impressed me whatsoever. I have not been impressed with his noodle arm. I haven't been impressed with his ability to not really stretch the field whatsoever with his vertical passing, and he still takes a lot of sacks. I mean, Dillon Gabriel is getting killed out there with that Browns offensive line, so obviously I don't really believe in Dillon Gabriel whatsoever. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when Shedeur Sanders is going to play at the quarterback position for the Browns. His day will come, and I believe it's going to come sooner rather than later. After the Dolphins game, there's the Patriots game coming up. I don't believe Shedeur Sanders is going to get his debut then. I believe Dillon Gabriel will be given another start, and if Dillon Gabriel loses both the Dolphins and Patriots game, I believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be inserted in at the quarterback position. The Browns also have a bye week after the Patriots week, so Shedeur Sanders is going to have 2 weeks to prepare prepare for his debut. If they follow what I say, I believe Shedeur Sanders should start in week 10 against the Jets. The Jets are not a good football team. The Jets have one of the worst defenses in all of football. Right now, the Jets, they look like a team that might not even be capable of winning a football game. So that's going to be ideal conditions for Shedeur Sanders to start. I also want to show you guys this clip of Skip Bayless talking about how Shedeur Sanders might not have an opportunity to play. He was saying how the Browns' only hope of seeing Shedeur Sanders this year is if the owner gets involved and tells Kevin Stefanski to go ahead and play Shedeur Sanders at the quarterback position. I found his comments to be rather interesting. Roll the film.
Shedeur's only hope in Cleveland is that the owner wants some kind of publicity splash at some point in the season, because that's why the owner stepped up and insisted that his coach and GM step back and take Shedeur Sanders, because they had no use for Shedeur Sanders. Trust me, no use.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
While Skip Bayless is not completely wrong in what he said about the Browns situation regarding Shedeur Sanders, I don't really agree with a whole lot of what he had to say. I believe Kevin Stefanski is just trying to do what is in the best interest of the football team. But one thing is clear, there is way too much football interference between Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski. Those three guys are not on the same page when it comes to developing a quarterback. Jimmy Haslam is all about wanting to chase for headlines. Andrew Berry is all about trying to get his guy in the draft, and Kevin Stefanski is all about trying to play his guy. And when you have a divided front office, yeah, you're not going to have a good team on the football field whatsoever. It feels like one guy wanted Joe Flacco as his quarterback, another guy wanted Dillon Gabriel in the quarterback room, and another guy wanted Shedeur Sanders in the quarterback room. So obviously there is a lot of friction going on. The Browns traded away Joe Flacco without letting their head coach know. Kevin Stefanski was absolutely blindsided by that decision. In fact, earlier this year, he was talking about how Bailey Zappe had the potential to be the backup quarterback to Dillon Gabriel. Obviously, that didn't happen, though. Shedeur Sanders ended up being named the backup quarterback over Dillon Gabriel, and rightfully so. Shedeur Sanders has to be named the backup over Bailey Zappe in every possible scenario. I don't care what you think about Shedeur Sanders as a football player. He's definitely better than Bailey Zappe. Bailey Zappe has not really shown much of anything that he even belongs in the National Football League in any capacity. Bailey Zappe is a practice squad player at best. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, has the potential to become a solid starter in the right situation. You got to give Shedeur Sanders his opportunity to play. I don't believe Dillon Gabriel is going to be the guy long term. He can't fire up a team the way Shedeur Sanders can fire up a team. I also don't think Dillon Gabriel can stretch the football downfield the way Shedeur Sanders can. I understand Shedeur Sanders has a sack problem. It's certainly a major issue, but you know who else also has a sack issue? Dillon Gabriel. So I don't really see what Dillon Gabriel provides outside of getting rid of the football pretty fast. But again, he still takes a lot of sacks. So it's not even like Dillon Gabriel's biggest strength is anything to rave about. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, was a natural-born playmaker. I'm saying Shedeur Sanders has the moxie that you need at the quarterback position in order to be successful in the short term and the long term. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm thinking about playing Shedeur Sanders in week 10. I would like to see him get his first start against a terrible Jets squad. So that is why the Browns should start Shedeur Sanders by week 10 against the Jets, as Dillon Gabriel will inevitably lose the starting job either due to injury or poor play. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinStran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinStran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinStran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.